I attempted what I thought was one of the most daring, daunting, and some might even say demoralizing challenges that Dark Souls has to offer. That is until I started and realized that anyone with opposable thumbs and 4 brain cells running at half efficiency can beat Dark Souls at level 1. This is not a journey of strife, struggle, and success, but one of complete and utter annihilation. This is Dark Souls Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby, and my name is Oppenheimer. I'm the boss that needs to be stopped at all costs. This is how to completely break the game, and it's all possible without even leveling up. I named my character Sloan, cause SL1, Sloan. Get it? And this is actually my second attempt at a Soul Level 1 run. You see, I'm not a very smart guy, and I thought, hey, why doesn't everyone just pick Warrior when they do SL1? It seems obvious. High strength, high vitality, and then when I got to Lost Izalith, I realized my character was level 4. You see, there's only one class in Dark Souls that actually starts at level 1, and that is the Pyromancer. I take the Master Key because why would you not, and I give Sloan the Lilo treatment and get ready for the big bada boom. That's the pyromancy. Not sure if you knew this, but there are actually 12 armor sets in the game that change appearance based on whether your character is male or female, and the pyromancer set is one of them. Not that we'll be wearing it for too long, but we get our juice from Oscar, collect our oven mitt, and kill the asylum demon in record time, taking full advantage of the double hit from the plunge attack and finishing off the job with a few fireballs. There are a few things that make an SL1 run Super Baby Easy mode, and you bet your sweet ass I'm gonna take advantage of every one of them. I get to tell people that I beat the game at level 1. What I don't tell people is that level 1 just means a slightly smaller health bar, but you can still wield some of the most powerful magic and weapons in the game. That one's between you and me. With everything collected at Firelink, I ran back to the bonfire to level up. That was a close one. That happens a few times. Muscle memory's taking over, I almost dumped all my souls into strength. Undeadburg is a walk in the park, and every time I say Undeadburg, I get a bunch of comments saying I put the emphasis on the wrong syllable. Well, here's something to make it up to you. The most insane double parry you've ever seen in your life. I was really hyped about this moment, and I did it on stream, and then I looked at my chat, and they reacted just as you'd expect. Literally no one cared. I chatted with Jack Skellington and collected the Reinforced Club, our first OP weapon of the run. You can wield it at level 1, it does some pretty good damage, and it has bleed on it. Very nice. Let's see Paul Allen's club. I broke the ankles of a few undead bros in Undeadburg, collected my sticky gold stuff, dodged the barrel, toasted Pascal, and entered the home of a very grumpy bridge troll. If you wanna come over, all you gotta do is this. All you gotta do is this. Solve my riddle. A small spark and I come alive. It's what wizards yearn for at level 5. What am I? That's right, Fireball. I threw a few blazing balls at the bull and the damage was really good, and I also didn't know that you could stagger with spells. Maybe I'm just an idiot and everyone knew that. Regardless, pyromancy is OP. And it's only gonna get more broken as the run goes on. I said hi to Solaire, who was looking as grossly incandescent as usual, and he wanted to cooperate with me. Jollily. Well, sorry, Toots. Not this time. I kicked down yay old ladder and decided it would be a good idea to free Griggs from lower Undeadburg to get my hands on the Bellowing Dragon Crest ring, which increases my pyromancy damage by 20%. Yes, it's sold by the sorcery guy, says it boosts magic damage, but I promise you it also boosts pyromancy damage. But not miracles. I don't make the rules. I tried way too long to hit the skip to lower Undeadburg, but when I finally hit it, I fell with style, landed gracefully down, and then realized I forgot to purchase the residence key from the undead merchant. Once again, why does the master key replace one of the residence key's uses, but not the other, huh? Answer that, Miyazaki. I'm fine. I'll be right back, Griggs. I went to purchase the key, and then on my way back, I noticed some new decor in the alleyways. Taxidermy is getting quite odd these days. Also, I had no idea that the firebomb guy from Upper Undeadburg could snipe me all the way down in Lower Undeadburg. Someone signed this guy up for the outfield. Bro could hit Manitoulin Island from Tobermory, am I right? Anyhow, with Griggs freed and on his way back to wine at the shrine, I waited patiently for the Hellkite Gatekeeper to let me pass, lit the bonfire, and then almost leveled up again like an absolute moron. I said hi to Torbjorn, got my Reinforced Club all the way to +4, grabbed the Firekeeper Soul, and then the shortcut back to Firelink. I wasn't too concerned with leveling up my Estus Flask because my health bar's not gonna get any bigger, so don't freak out when I pop this thing for humanity later. Gargoyles time, baby. And it was also at this point when I realized I forgot to go get the Grass Crest Shield. Classic blunder. I used gold pine resin on the gargoyles, and boy oh boy does this thing absolutely shred. 5 hits on gargoyle number 1, and 3 hits on gargoyle number 2. It is absolutely insane how much damage you can do in this game if you even kinda, sorta, somewhat know what you're doing. Soul level 1 rips. Time to ring that bell, just like you should too. but don't actually. Notifications are annoying. But you should totally subscribe. That'd be cool. After admiring Oswald's laugh, I made my way back to Firelink Shrine to summon Lautrec against the hardest boss in the game. Gravity. The Fat Ring isn't the most useful thing in the world for Soul Level 1, but for the time being, I think I'll take my extra 20% health. I dipped a toe in the still water of New Londo ruins and contracted a brand new disease. I just got word they're gonna name it after me. And then it was up to the Valley of the Drakes, putting the Master Key to good use before taking the water wheel down to the Blighttown Swamp, running from the Skeeters and entering Quaylag's domain. I tried to talk some sense into her, but it was no use. Violence was the only option. The damage was okay, and I used the last of my gold pine resin to squeak out a little more. The secret power of the Reinforced Club was of no use, seeing as how Quaylag is immune to bleed. But at least I have something other than my Flaming Fist, which would do no damage because she's immune to fire damage, which is awesome. It is also a very good thing that I took the Fap Ring, because I definitely would have gotten one shot. Fighting Quaylag is kind of like driving. You just zone out and forget what's going on, and then get brutally reminded of your own mortality when you get into a close call with a semi-truck. That happens to everyone, right? As long as I didn't get stuck in the legs, it was smooth sailing, and I pushed for the win because I'm always greedy and never punished. Bell number 2, Electric Boogaloo. I told the fair lady's pay pig that I would behave, and then I joined the Chaos Servant Covenant to get my hands on her Chaos Fireball. I also decided that it would be a little hard to kill the Capra Demon at this point, so I opted to get grabbed by an egg-burdened enemy and get infected with Ringworm. Then I could talk to Engi once the eggs were on my head, and he'd be happy to take my souls in exchange for upgrading my Pyromancy Flame. Yeah, despite being a full Pyro build, you will not see Laurentius once in this entire video. Anywho, I decided now would probably be a good time to take on Ceaseless Discharge and use the souls to get my Bellowing Dragon Crest ring, and I would also probably find a use for his sister's underwear. Great fire resistance. Like taking candy from a baby. The ruins were drained, and because I never rested, I got the home bone all the way back to the Undead Parish. And this is where I remembered that some spells take more than one slot. And I only have 2 slots because I can't level up at all, so that's probably going to cause some issues. But for now, I can get my ring for 20,000 souls and then start my journey through Sen's Funhouse. After a scripted boulder, a quit-out Indiana Jones would love to learn, and a close call with some swangin' blades, I finally made it to the top, lit the bonfire, and then experienced my first death of the run. That damn giant. But I had to go back and finish the job because I didn't want this guy's balls to get in the way of me unleashing my own. If the Iron Golem wasn't already easy enough, the Chaos Fireball makes it even more mindless. You see, Chaos spells leave behind some of Ceaseless Discharge's drippings on the ground, so long as the spell actually hits the ground, so you have to aim it a little bit low. So after lining up Adam on the edge of the bridge, it only takes 2 Chaos Fireballs to make him trip and fall to his death. Sorry, Hugh, you can't punch your way out of that one. Anyone seen Real Steel lately? I booked a first-class ticket to Anne Orlando on Spirit Airlines, and they gave me the extra legroom seat. But then I remembered that I once again forgot the Grass Crest shield and a few other goodies, so I had to make the return flight early. I got the cage key, went back down through the fortress, through the parish, through the Darkroot Basin, got my hands on some Twinkle Sprinkle, and was finally reunited with my best crest shield. I'm so sorry. Papa will never forget you for that long ever again. It's okay now. Since I was kinda, sorta in the area, I went back through the valley, through Blighttown, Quaylag's domain, and met up with Engi, who got my Pyromancy Flame to +10, which means Quaylana will show up now. Another hot daughter of chaos? Sign me up. She got her feet out. I became her pupil and had a long list of spells to learn from her, and now I don't have to look at Engi's big ugly mug every time I want to upgrade my flame. So, that sounds like a win-win to me. And then she said,
"Do not crack and go hollow."
Come again? In the year the game came out, profound dialogue. In the year 2026, Quaylana's wild for that one. You know, taking into account the current vernacular of newer generations, the colloquialisms of modern society, the rapid spread of internet memes, she could crack me. That's all I'm saying. Back in Anne Orlando, I was minding my own business until I got brutally jumped by the backshots man who came from behind while I was running. He gave me the brutalest, sweatiest, most diabolical backstab I have ever been disgraced with in my entire Dark Souls career. Thankfully, I made it out alive on the other side, and no matter how many times I play Dark Souls, I am always amazed by all the ways Anne Orlando can kick me in the balls. And then keep kicking me in the balls while I'm down. And then kill me. Solaire was waiting for me in the interior, and he soothed my rage with his jubilant laughter, and then I did something I seldom do and kindled the bonfire. I had a feeling we'd need it for ONS. Better to have a cup that runneth over than be parched when you need a sip the most. The pyromancies did a lot of damage to Ornstein despite his semi-decent fire resistance, but having to aim the spells and lock on threw me off more times than not. And if Ornstein decided to move even a slight bit during the windup, I would throw wide like I was back in 4th grade Little League. I can't complain too much though with the way I'm chunking down his health, and I absolutely have no excuses for the amount of times I blundered this fight. There are 3 rules to Ornstein and Smo. 1. Use the pillars to your advantage to block and separate the bosses. 2. Always be able to see Ornstein and Smo at the same time. 3. Don't corner yourself. And the bonus rule, throw all of the aforementioned strategies out the window and then complain when you get ganked 6 or 7 times. I will say, against any sort of a fast boss, I'm starting to not like pyromancies. The spellcasts are extremely limited, the tracking isn't the best, they don't offer prime same-day delivery, and... Okay, no, you got me. Pyromancies are insanely OP. Maybe even more so than sorceries, but we'll get to that. I used all my pyromancies to turn Ornstein into a beautifully toasted creme brulee, and Smo just couldn't help himself but have a little bite. If you're wondering why I always kill Ornstein first, it's because Super Smo is literally free. He's so free. He's so easy. Free 99. 5-finger discount. It's literally highway robbery. All he has are his phase 1 moves and then a lightning butt slam. That's it. I would take that over Super Ornstein any day of the week. I used the last of my fireballs against Super Smo and they were much easier to get off in phase 2. Long windows and a big target. Any pyromancer's wet dream. With my Weber all out of propane and no Canadian Tire nearby, I whipped out the reinforced club to finish the job, because Smo is insanely weak to bleed. Even though, when you get his armor, it offers the highest bleed resistance in the game. Classic Miyazaki moment. I pondered Guinevere's orbs, but had to remember the wise words of Quailana.
Do not crack and go hollow.
She's right. I must not deter from my quest. I took the Lord Vessel and pressed on. And you're not gonna like what I have to do next, because besides pyromancy and the reinforced club, there is one really OP weapon that you can use at soul level 1. You only need 11 strength to two-hand it. It does split lightning damage, and it's upgraded with Twinkling Titanite. Nighty-night, my friend. This is so sad. Can we get 5 gifted subs? I used the weaponsmith box to get my giant blacksmith's hammer to +5 with the Twinkling Titanite that I've collected along the way, and then it was time to start killing bosses that I have missed up until this point. I curled up in a ball to go back to the Undead Asylum, and then immediately jumped in the Stray Demon's hole. Woo. Yes. That's right. Asylum Demon number 2. We love a good reskin. I hope they don't use this guy in future games like Elden Ring. Pfft, that'd be weird. Some bosses are fun to talk about. Some bosses are one of 3 Asylum Demon reskins. So, threw fire at it. Hit it with the hammer. It's dead. And I remembered the doll. Continuing on with my boss cleanup, I decided to spare Papa Andre's life this time, seeing as how what else am I gonna do with my souls other than buy the Crest of Artorias from him. The blacksmith hammer makes short work of, well, everything in my way, and it was time to introduce a moth to the searing heat of the sun. Just fly to the light, idiot. Just embrace the fire, idiot. The only thing holding me back seemed to be my pitching skills. I would say that's almost worse than Snoop Dogg's opening pitch in 2016. My form was great, but the distance just wasn't quite there. I don't know if the Hawk Ring would have helped me with my range on spells, but this is really the only boss where it posed an issue. The butterfly brutally reminded me that this was indeed a boss fight, and I saw a glimpse of the pearly gates that made me get over the yips, and I started hurling great balls of fire right back at the bug. I turned the moonlight butterfly into a lightning bug, and it was finally free to join Evangeline in the night sky. There she is. So long, sucker. I grabbed some goodies from Andre's brother, Sean Dre, and then it was back to the garden proper to use the Crest of Artorias to open the door, dodge the NPCs with the most brilliant AI you've ever seen, grab the stone armor in preparation for Nito later, and then open the door to Sif's arena. No special cutscene today. I mean, maybe one day I'll do the special cutscene in a run, but also maybe not, because I don't really like going to the DLC early. The hammer absolutely shreds the dog, or, I mean, smashes it more so. Hammers don't really shred, but I see how much damage I'm doing, and I'm getting a little greedy. And as long as I'm not dying, a little bit of greed is okay. Always greedy, rarely punished. That's what I say. Always greedy, rarely punished. I tried to end the fight with a free-aimed fireball, and let's just say my unlocked spell skills need a little work. Maybe I'll get better at aiming by the end of this run. I don't. I get Sif to limp percent and then take a victory lap around the arena before sending her to say hello to Charles B. Barkin for me. That's right. Also, I'm standing on business that Sif's a girl dog. I don't see a lipstick. The Hornet Ring is all mine. I never use it. And then, it's back to Blight Town to see Quelana to upgrade my pyromancy flame. She thought I had perished. Excuse me? I perished a bunch of times, but that's none of her business. And then she once again told me not to crack and go hollow, and I will literally never see this interaction the same way ever again. Capra Demon was next on my list, and let me just say, I hate Lower Undeadburg, I hate the Thieves, and I hate dogs in FromSoft games. We will once again be employing the hot dog method and letting each bratwurst cook itself to 160 degrees Fahrenheit internal. And my one piece of advice against the Thieves is do jump attacks. They can't parry your jump attacks, and it helps you close the distance on them a little bit. It works like a charm. It's not that I don't think I'll beat the boss, but just in case, I grabbed the shortcut back to Firelink Shrine. Does not open from this side, my ass. Then I ran into this lady who wanted me to buy her moss, and although I wasn't in the mood for dank herb, I bought some alluring skulls instead, because surely these work on the dogs in the Capra Demon arena, right? They're enemies, it's an alluring skull, right? Well, they don't work. Awesome. I had a completely reasonable amount of tries against the Capra Demon. It was well within reason. It complied with OSHA's acceptable limits of workplace casualties. Okay, can someone tell me what OSHA is? Is that like Wimmis? I did Wimmis once. The boss? Abysmal. The arena? Dog shit. The run back? Well, let's just say this is how my grandpa walked to school. Both ways. Except he said it was raining. I finally got in there and almost one-shot this loser, but that sliver of health was just enough for him and his boys to come over and stunlock me in a corner. Say it with me, everybody. I hate dogs in FromSoft. And then it was the blessed run. I ran up the stairs, no problem. First plunge attack, direct hit. Reset for the second plunge attack and, well, we don't talk about the second plunge attack. And the third plunge attack from the top rope showed off my capricious capability to crack Capra. Capiche? I popped open the door to the depths and I wasn't planning to overstay my welcome, so I attempted to jump over the banister and, well, I missed it. And then I missed it again. And then I got Dark Souls 2'd and ganked myself in a corner. But clearly, this is the game's fault, not my fault. Am I right, fellow FromSoft fans? You think that would deter me? You think I'd give up that easy? Are you silly? I'm still gonna send it. Right over the railing and down the giant food chute for the rat I go, saying hi to Miss Butcher as I run past. And then it was down the world's grossest slip and slide, or as I call it, Splashdown Beach Water Park. I don't know if it's still bad, but one time when I was 9, I saw a floater in the lazy river. Poop. I may be soul level 1, but I was feeling powerful and hot. And not because of the pyromancies. I waltzed right through the fog and left the channeler alive. Just for the added thrill. I'm basically a daredevil. You can call me Kick Batowski. The dragon may be buffed, but holy, so am I. I still can't believe that this hammer can be two-handed at level 1. I mean, the damage is great, and lightning is amazing against all dragons, and this might be the least challenging challenge run that I've ever done. I did, however, forget one small thing. The channeler can buff the dragon, yes, but they can also pepper me with pot shots from their magical pea shooter from the safety of the second story. I got the tail cut for style points and then did my best to stay as close as I could to the channeler's side of the arena so it didn't have a good angle to snipe me. Also, if you get the gaping dragon with a headshot on its tiny dome, it does an extra 50% damage. Did you know that? My celebration was cut short and I ran out of the arena just as fast as I came. At this point, I realized the depths of my foolishness, and just like every other Dark Souls run before this, I forgot to place the damn Lord Vessel. There we go, half of Guinevere's bra is on the pedestal. Oh, and the other half? Yeah, it went to make Vamos's helmet. You can ask Vati. I made my way down to the catacombs and definitely did not almost die trying to do the shortcut to Pinwheel. Fastest quit out in the game, baby. I got faster fingers than Tim Allen in the 2006 hit movie Zoom, Academy for Superheroes. But it didn't even matter. I made it down second try and skillfully avoided the Bone Wheel skeletons and pushed on into Pinwheel's arena for the most From Software fight of all time. It would be so embarrassing if I joined the Pinwheel Hall of Shame today. Oh, he's dead. Not even SL1 could make Pinwheel a worthy adversary. I also got the Mask of the Mother. but it made me fat roll, so we're not going to use it. I could traverse the Tomb of the Giants with my eyes closed, which might not actually be that impressive because traversing the Tomb of the Giants with your eyes open is kind of like traversing the Tomb of the Giants with your eyes closed. Through the fog, rolling, dropping, more dropping, and you're through. It really is just that easy. I mostly came here for the Sanctus shield, but I'm not human, so no invasion for me. I passed through the Pinwheel servants, who are honestly more scary than Pinwheel himself, and I equipped the stone armor in preparation for the fight with Nito and his band of merry bone bros. Gotta love poise. I stayed put after dropping in because you can do the block trick with the giant hammer, so I wasn't worried about the scream sword, but I should have been worried about mistiming my rolls because Nito laid me out flat and then danced on my grave. Now we can get Sanctus though. I restored my humanity and parried the absolute shit out of Garl Vinland. I mean Veldstadt. I mean Leroy. And we get our hands on Sanctus, the first piece of infinite hyper mode. The second attempt at Nito also ended in despair, tiny health bar, and not fast enough to run away from his silent but deadly discharge. And then a skeleton memed me and broke my block right before the same thing on try number 3. On my 4th try, I dropped down and spread my legs for Nito. Spread my legs to avoid the scream sword, and then I was sure to save enough stamina to be able to block the Wave of Darkness attack. I made sure to kill any skeletons that were nearby, but if I'm gonna be honest, typically Nito makes short work of his own men. I always use humanity to heal in the fight. I don't really know why, but a lot of the openings you have to heal are long enough for a humanity, so might as well just top up to full. I smacked his little leg as much as I could and always made sure I had enough stamina to block or run away if I had the opportunity to do so. The toxic sword got my toes a few times and his rancid breath almost took me out, but at the end of the day, Nito was no match for the lightning-infused hammer of my good friend. Nighty-night, Nito. I was a few humanity short for the fair lady, so I got one from the undead female merchant, and then I found another one just laying around in Undeadburg. No one saw that. Then it was time to brave Blighttown one more time, upgrade my flame at Quailana, yeah, I know, don't crack, reminisce on the good times, and then offer the goods to my new love interest. Yeah, saving Solaire and unlocking the Isolus shortcut is just a byproduct to my true intention here. I wanted to get my hands on Chaos Storm, one of the most powerful spells in the entire game. The Chaos Storm Pyromancy requires 2 spell slots, has 20 casts, and uses 17 casts per cast. Are you with me? The Pillars of Fire deal fire damage equal to 3.6 times the Pyromancy Flame's magic adjustment stat and leaves behind pools of lava that deal damage equal to 2 times the Flame's magic adjustment. Also, why do they give you 20 casts if it costs 17 casts? Psychotic. Then you get like a tiny little second baby cast. Before I moved on to my boss rush, I needed part 2 of Infinite Hyper Mode, a little treat that would give us a lot more damage, a bit more stamina recovery, and suck me for 1% of my maximum health every second. That's right, baby. Power within. It seemed like a good idea to go up from the swamp, and boy did I forget about how much I loved Blighttown. After climbing 83.5 ladders and getting lost and remembering that this place has more enemies than just crag spiders and mosquitoes, I finally made it to the parasitic wall hugger and took one to the face. And then the poison took me out before I got a chance to take a sip from my cup. I got back to this parasite, and let's just say I was not in the mood for a symbiotic relationship. That's right, Chaos Storm right to the buccal cavity. Power Within is all mine. Power Within has a duration of 100 seconds and drains 1% of your health rounded down every second. It also increases all damage that you do by 40% and raises your stamina recovery speed by 30 points per second. Next, it was time to go to the Valley of the Drakes and get the 3rd piece of our final form, and lucky for me, the Drakes are an idiot and let me get it easy peasy. The red Tearstone ring can stack with Power Within and increases all damage by 50% while your health is below 20%. I went to the Darkroot Basin because it was finally time to take out the Hydra, and this might take a while. You know, I bet you could like, comment, and subscribe in the time it takes me to kill the Hydra. You know, if I'm just spitballing off the top of my head while I'm dying endlessly in the background. Oops. Died again. Better subscribe so we can get on with the video. With the Hydra dead, I am rewarded with a Dragon Scale and the Dusk Crown Ring. The Dusk Crown Ring grants extra casts while halving your HP, and we need this HP reduction to achieve Infinite Hyper Mode. I ran to save Dusk from the Golden Crystal Golem, and all I had to do now was summon her by the lakeshore so that her dead body would spawn back here and I could get the Crown of Dusk, which increases our magic damage by 20%. And let's just say there was an incident, and I will never be listening to my Twitch chat ever again. We do not get the Crown of Dusk. I am very upset, and I refuse to elaborate further. Thank you. It was time to hit the Duke's Archives and say hello to Seath. Why, you ask? Well, it's because I wanted to get cursed. Crazy. I also had no bow, so I have no way of doing Duke Skip. I sang the Crystal Knight a sweet lullaby and then confronted the scaleless abomination and got really scared, so I left the arena. But then I went back in and got my HP halved, exactly how I wanted. The only time I am ever okay with getting cursed. But now I hear you ask, what? Now you're trapped in the Duke's Archives prison with no way out and you only have a quarter of your HP. Wrong. There's a little trick you can do. You can actually warp from the Duke's Archives bonfire if you sit at it from outside the cell. Scammer gets scammed. I decided to go get the pendant to enter the DLC, and yes, this is one of the reasons why I don't get the Crown of Dusk. It also took me about an hour to get the pendant because I'm just a dumbass and refused to take off the ring, and I was getting one-shot by every crystal hollow that has ever walked the earth. And just when I thought it couldn't get bad enough, I got absolutely violated by the most Dark Souls 2 hitbox I have ever seen in Dark Souls 1. But eventually, after 46 minutes, yes, I counted, we finally get the pendant. We take those. Then I went to get a physical from Manus and he asked me to cough before deciding I needed a full evaluation and he dragged me off to Ulasil. This is the exact moment I was perma-locked out of the Crown of Dusk. GG's. I was gonna need a way to hurt myself and unfortunately I can't watch the Leafs play every time I play Dark Souls, so the Symbol of Avarice was the next best thing. The Symbol of Avarice is a 1% drop from a Mimic and it increases your item discovery by 200, increases soul gain by 20%, and drains 5 health per second. Once you kill all 7 Mimics in the game, it is a guaranteed drop. You can also use 7 Lloyd's Talismans and they count as kills, which means you can kill all 7 Mimics, use 7 Lloyd's Talismans or a combination of both of them, and it will be guaranteed. I used 4 Lloyd's Talismans on this idiot in Anor Londo and then killed it, and then killed 2 more Mimics in the interior, and I was finally awarded with the Big Tongue Helmet. And there was only one place I wanted to take it. That's right, I showed Guinevere my infinite hyper mode. The Symbol of Avarice is used to get my health low and then Power Within is activated. Once I'm at 20% HP and Red Tearstone Ring activates, I whip out the Sanctus Shield and it offsets the health loss of Power Within. Power Within drains 1% of your HP rounded down every second, and with my maximum health this low, I will never die from having Power Within active and I can have both buffs stack. It was time to test out my new build on the Sanctuary Guardian, but I mistimed everything, and by the time my window was there, Power Within ran out, and then I got laid out and tased in the middle of the water by everyone's favorite bird, goat, lion thing, Ian. Screw melee, I had a better idea. Being at soul level 1, I only had 2 spell slots, and while I could go get a seance ring for an extra one, I'm stubborn and I didn't want to do that because I thought it was a waste of time. Power Within persists through resting, which means if I was fast enough, I could cast Power Within, rest at the bonfire, swap it out for Chaos Storm, throw on the Symbol of Avarice, get my health into RTSR range, and enter the Sanctuary Guardians fight with enough time to run up and attempt the one-shot. Unleashing the flames of Izalith on my foe. Sounds good in theory, right? Well, it took a while. Some tries the window didn't show itself, and other tries the window showed itself too early and I wasn't doing enough damage because RTSR didn't proc. I mean, of course, it's still a lot of damage, but I wanted more. I needed more. Okay, it actually didn't take that long, and I definitely could have gotten the one-shot if I wanted to, had a little bit more time. And also the Crown of Dusk. But on try number 6, I saw the window for Chaos Storm and I took it. And Ian over there just loved swimming around in the lava. I decided to take this as my winning attempt, swapped over to the Blacksmith Giant Hammer, and gave Ian a shocking revelation, a taste of his own electric medicine. That's right, I'm really skilled because Soul Level 1 is super duper hard. I went to Quaylana to upgrade my flames some more and also purchased Fire Tempest. Fire Tempest also has 20 casts and takes 17 casts to cast it. Fire erupts from the ground around the player and does damage equal to 3.9 times the magic adjustment stat of the Pyromancy Flame in fire damage, and unlike Chaos Storm, it only takes 1 slot. This means we can use Power Within and a big damage spell without having to do the spell swap bonfire fiasco. Seath was next on my hit list, so it was time to go to the Duke's Archives, and this time I brought a bow so I could do Duke Skip. I love Duke Skip. I do not love getting sniped after completing Duke Skip on the first try, though. I hit the skip a second time, ran like hell, slid down a ladder, opened the bookcase, grabbed the balcony bonfire, and then it was off to the courtyard. I love the look of the Crystal Caves area. I think it's really awesome. I just wish the jog to the fog wasn't so damn long. Because Infinite Hyper Mode is more of a melee thing, I am now using the Bellowing Dragon Crest Ring and the Red Tearstone Ring for maximum damage. Being cursed still allows us to have a bit more buff time, but we don't get the infinite hyper mode of Sanctus offsetting the health drain of Power Within. I got my health low and ran into Seat Serena, just hoping that no clams wanted to join the party. I shot his crystal, got into RTSR range, and prepared to deliver a spell that took 5 to 7 business days to get to Seath. But oh boy, baby, when it delivered, I one-shot Seath at Soul Level 1. I don't even know if I can call this a challenge run. It's just a run at this point. Quaylana gives me more upgrades for the old oven mitt, and then it was time to go see about a girl. Call me Goodwill Life Hunting. Classic. Yeah, low health in the Painted World is not a good time, especially when you're trying to hit the cheeky little stair skip a few times and failing. But after a while, I found an even better place to jump from, and I got the door open, and then it was time to say hello to an undead dragon. I gave this sleepy guy a rude awakening and then pounded his lower half to press on towards Priscilla. Foot lovers, look away. It's time for the buff routine, so this is your chance to say goodbye. I punched Priscilla with the pyromancy flame because I didn't want to get soft-locked. I mean, I'm not sure that Fire Tempest can even soft-lock me, but I was scared and wanted to be safe just in case. Either way, she went invisible immediately, and I pre-jacked the cast of my spell and had to wait for her Dark Souls to show up in the snow so that I can use the puny second cast, which still did a decent amount of damage. I nearly died due to a Power Within incident, but I took a sip just in time and was able to finish her off with the giant blacksmith hammer. Dragon Abomination Lady, down. One more upgrade to the Pyromancy Flame and I purchased Combustion and Great Combustion for later, and it was time for the Demon Ruins Gauntlet. And by Demon Ruins Gauntlet, I mean 2 bosses that are pretty much pushovers. But also, one might not be so much of a pushover because it's completely immune to fire damage, so I'm actually kind of scared for that one. And I also broke my Pyromancy Flame. I didn't even know that was possible. A quick pit stop at Andre to get it repaired, and then also purchased the repair box in case that happened again in my future. Luckily, the first boss is a reskin of 2 other bosses we fought earlier, and because it's a reskin, it shares the same resistances, which means the Demon Fire Sage is insanely weak to fire damage. Unfortunately for me, the fire pillars are pretty much just for show, and the hitboxes actually stay relatively close to the ground, which means it doesn't hit the Fire Sage when he does his little hover attack. Well, that's news to me. Little fun fact about Fire Tempest, boy does it take a long time to cast. So long in fact that I can start casting it and by the time I'm finished the boss is on the other side of the arena, or it's decided to fly up and then drop down and teabag me in the face, killing me instantly. I did a few attempts with melee hyper mode, but ultimately decided that it would probably be a good idea to undo my curse, seeing as how the Centipede Demon was coming up and there was no way I was fighting him hitless with the lava on the ground. I was also still feeling sad that I didn't get the Crown of Dusk, but remembered there was something almost as good, the Crown of the Dark Moon, which meant it was time to go back to Anor Londo and attempt to kill Gwyndolin. And because I'm really lazy, I didn't want to go to the catacombs and get the Dark Moon Seance Ring, so I spent about 40 minutes trying to hit the skip where your get-up animation breaks the wall, and you can get in that way. I finally did get it, eventually, and it was really awesome. But I instantly died against Gwyndolin, so had to do it again. Third time's the charm though, and even with only Power Within, the Blacksmith Giant Hammer does an insane amount of damage, and the Dark Moon sets in Anor Londo. The Gwyndolin fight isn't too interesting, you know, dodge spell, dodge arrow, complain when teleporting, hit, GG. I maxed out the Ascended Pyromancy Flame, and then it was back to Firelink Shrine to give a visit to Donal of Xena, who sells boss armor, the Crown of the Dark Sun included. And the Crown of the Dark Sun gives you an extra 15% magic damage. And for some reason that includes pyromancies. I took my new drip to the Demon Fire Sage and I did the bonfire trick again so that I could use Power Within and Chaos Storm, and boy oh boy did I roast that thing like a Thanksgiving turkey. But it wasn't enough, so I roasted it again. That's a lot of damage. Then it was time for the Centipede Demon, and this one was a bit of a mess. Low health made it really hard to get to safe ground, and often I was getting one-shot by the Centipede Demon and even the lava. I was wearing the Mask of the Mother and the Gold Hem set, and I was still dying almost instantly. Many arm and lava incidents later, I was finally able to make it to that safe little pocket in the arena and fight the demon melee. I even mashed my way out of a grab attack without taking a single bit of damage. Faster fingers than the Flash in Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. This fight was not about damage maxing, it was about health mogging. I needed the survivability to take a hit or two from the Centipede Demon because these hitboxes are just out of control. And on the off chance that I landed in the lava after getting tossed somewhere, I needed to live. No hyper mode, just hyper focus, the Centipede Demon fades away and leaves me with the orange charred ring. I mean, I got it when I chopped off the arm, it's just, you know, dramatic effect. Solaire pouts by the bonfire, and I press on into Dorney Park. but on fire. Was Dorney Park always owned by Six Flags, or is that a new development? It's been a while. I made my way through the section that would make anyone's eardrums go hollow, grabbed the secret bonfire, and then went on to fight the Bed of Chaos. And you already know what's gonna go on here. I don't really need to say it. We're gonna firebomb Cheese the Bed of Chaos. And I did it wearing her dead daughter's clothes for maximum emotional damage. With the Bed of Chaos dead, this completes Quaylana's quest line, and she would give me Fire Tempest here if I didn't already purchase it, but instead, she just tells me not to crack one more time. Look, lady, no promises. Back to the DLC, it was time to face Artorias and buckle up, because this one took a while. A lot of deaths, because I was determined to one-shot the Abyss Walker. One-shotting Artorias would make this run spectacular, even after all of my blunders. Now I'll tell you what, it wasn't pretty and took about an hour of attempts. Not that it took a lot of attempts, the run back is just absolutely horrendous. All the DLC ones are pretty bad, to be honest. But every run back I was learning, growing, finding out exactly where I could stand so he would just miss me while I cast my spell. And on my final attempt, I did just that. The stars lined up, I got insanely lucky, and Artorias missed his opening shot, which gave me the opportunity to cast my Fire Tempest and absolutely demolish the Abyss Walker. I one-shot Artorias at soul level 1. Don't let anyone tell you that Dark Souls is hard. Or pretend that it is really hard and then act like really impressive when you do easy things, which is kind of what I'm doing. Feels good to be OP, baby. I ran through Ulasil Township on autopilot to kill the Mimic that held the key to Goff's tower. I had a little chat with him, gave up Artorias' soul because I was feeling charitable for once, and then I dropped down into Calamit's arena with style. And then I saw my foe and absolutely dark-signed the hell out of there. I put a hit out on Calamite, and Goff was more than happy to no-scope that dragon. No-scope, because he's blind. And then it was time for the Calamite Gauntlet. Once again, an absolutely horrendous run back, but only because of the dogs. If there are no dogs there, it would be serene. And then it was a game of just waiting for all the buffs to line up at the same time. Even with all the resistances of a formidable dragon DLC boss, Calamite was no match for my buffed pyromancies. I mean, it did take about 4 hours of attempts, and sometimes it got close. Like really, really close. Like so close that if I had the Crown of Dusk, I absolutely would have one-shot Calamite close. And I'm really upset at myself for not getting the Crown of Dusk. What was I thinking? How cool would that have been to one-shot Calamite at SL1? It would have been awesome. Instead, we'll have to settle for this, the most perfectly timed Fire Tempest you've ever seen to get Calamite down to one hit. Well, I guess a little bit more than one hit, but I finished the job with the hammer of an old friend. Miss you, buddy. Nighty-night, Calamite. Wait, we still have one more Lord Soul? I forgot about the 4 kings, bro. I politely asked Ingward for the key, drained the ruins, and then decided to just raw dog the 4 kings. No buffs, no RTSR, no power within, just raw, unfiltered damage of the blacksmith giant hammer. And it still worked great, more than enough damage to kill 1 king before the next one spawned, but not too much damage, so it still made it a fun fight. I really do think the 4 kings is one of my favorite fights in the game. It feels fluid, it's satisfying to strafe attacks, and it's fun to keep wailing on a king as it fades into existence. All Lord Souls complete, we just have 2 bosses left. It was time to brave the Ulasil Township once again, and this time make my way to the dungeon below, where Manus was waiting. And spoiler alert, I really wanted to one-shot Manus. I did the math, and it was basically impossible. It wasn't fully impossible, but basically impossible and highly unlikely. Shout out to Meaty Jesus, who actually one-shot Manus in his submission to the Backlog's one-shot contest. He has the patience of a saint. With maximum Fire Tempest damage, this includes the Crown of Dusk, you need 3 pillars of Fire Tempest to hit Manus, and one of them needs to be counter damage or instability damage. This means Manus has to jump through one of the pillars and get hit by 2 more. And since my dumbass failed to get the Crown of Dusk, I needed 2 of the pillars to be instability damage in order to one-shot Manus. And I did manage it a few times. There's one move where he jumps up and then comes back down, and as he leaves and as he lands, it's instability damage, but unfortunately I just could never hit the 3rd one. Let's just say I have more hours of footage of Manus attempts than I do any other boss in the run, combined. This run took me 18 hours, and I am sitting in front of 8.5 hours of Manus attempts, just trying to get the stars to align to get the one-shot. I was losing my mind and I wanted it, but unfortunately, wanting it does not stop a deadline, and I had to settle for something a bit more lackluster. I got him so close so many times, but I wasn't able to pull it off. So instead, I two-shot Manus. I did the second puny cast of Fire Tempest, and that's good enough for me, at least for now. I two-shot Manus at soul level 1. And maybe next time, I'll get the one-shot. The only thing that stands between me and completing my first soul level 1 run of any Souls game is Gwyn. And let's just say, he's also weak to fire. There's also a little thing you can do with Combustion where he gets locked in an AI loop of just jumping around and kind of dancing around you, but honestly, I was doing so much damage, I don't even get a chance to show it off here. GG Gwyn, and because I relied so heavily on the power of the flame throughout the run, it's only fitting that I link it at the end. Soul level 1 sounded really daunting at first, but let's be honest, pyromancy is pretty OP. Just pretend it's hard though, for my ego. I had a blast with this run, literally, just blasting fire. Thank you for watching, shout out to my members, I appreciate you, and I hope to catch you in the next one.